is that there are some of us who may not be called to marriage. And so we can't make being a wife the end all be all of all existence, because we don't know whether we have been called to marriage or not. Hey everybody, it's Vinty Mark and I am back with another video. But before we get started, I would like to invite you to check out today's outfit of the day. And if you have not had an opportunity, head over to themodestfitting.com and sign up for my newsletter so you can be notified when I drop my first collection of skirts and dresses featuring modesty, femininity, and beauty. But without further ado, let's begin. So I wanted to take some time to consider the notion of identity versus roles. Something that I have seen in my comment section and in other people's comment section. I am actually really inspired, and I feel really good about seeing women who flock to my channel and to other channels that are similar to mine, who love the Lord, who they love their femininity as given to them by God, and they are relishing the opportunities to fill the roles that have been outlined for them in the Bible. I actually love to see that, because it is a stark difference from what we see in the culture today. A lot of people kind of complain about the role of being a mother, or they, kind of shun the idea of making your home your first priority. So when I see women who embrace the opposite, it makes me really happy, and it makes me feel really encouraged. But I also want to take some time to kind of take a nuanced look in that while we celebrate and are anticipating and feeling really good about our roles as given to us by the Lord, I want to take some time to talk through and maybe warn about conflating roles and identities. I do not see my role. I don't see being a wife and a mother and a homemaker as my identities. Those are not who I am. Those are roles that I occupy, but they are not the stuff of my identity. My identity is firmly rooted in who I am in Jesus Christ, and through him having been made a daughter of the King. That is my identity. And after having been made a daughter of the King, or depending on how you look at the text, having been made a son, having been counted as a son. And just an aside, the reason why it's important for us to recognize that when we are called sons of God, it is because in ancient Israel, different rights and privileges were given to sons that were not given to daughters. So when the New Testament talks about now through the work of Jesus, you have been given a right to be called a son, that means that we've been given the highest privilege, the highest rights available to any child. All of the rights that would have been reserved for a son are now given to us, even though we are women. So because I am now a son or a daughter of the King, I have also been given the role of wife, of mother, and of homemaker. And I make sure to not blend those two things together, because there are what I don't want to do is I don't want to encourage or feed into women kind of making an idol out of a role and making it your identity. Because being a wife is a role we occupy. It is not who I am. Being a mother is a role that I occupy, but it is not the crux of my identity, and neither is that of a homemaker. And I love all of those roles. I love that I have been given the opportunity to exercise those roles and to fill those roles. But the bottom line is that there are some of us who may not be called to marriage. And so we can't make being a wife the end all be all of all existence, because we don't know whether we have been called to marriage or not. There are some of us who, though we desire it greatly, we may not be called to the role of mother. We may not bear children. And we see a lot of examples of that in the Old Testament, women who endured a lot of pain from desiring to have children, but their wombs did not produce them. And then on the flip side, I think about Job, who he was, a husband and a father, but because the Lord gave the enemy permission to attack him, in a day he went from being a father to 10 children to a father of none. And so I think sometimes even the crises that can sometimes just be weaved into life can take away roles from us. And if we are not careful, if our identity is rooted in roles, if we never enter that role, or tragically those roles are snatched from us, either through death or divorce or just other unexpected things, if that's the crux of our identity, instead of it just being a hard trial, it can be something that shipwrecks our whole life if our identities are wrongly rooted in roles. And I hope that I'm being clear in that. I think it's well and good, and I think it's right for us as women to desire marriage, to desire motherhood, to desire being able to be the keeper of your home and being a legacy builder, and investing in the lineage that is going to come through you. Those are good things, but I just want to make sure that we don't make the mistake of making our roles our identity. Because even if all of those things were stripped away from us, if the title of wife was taken, if the title of mother was taken, if for whatever reason we had to leave the home and enter the workforce for whatever reason, and the title of homemaker is taken away, we still have to know who our identity actually resides in, and it does not reside in these roles. It resides in Jesus and what he has done for us to reconcile us to our Father, having made us daughters of the King. The crux of my identity is who I am in Jesus Christ and who I belong to because of Jesus Christ. I get to call God my Father because Jesus saved me, and that is the beginning, the middle, and the end of my identity. Regardless of all the other things going around, which are important. Marriage is important. Children are important. Homemaking is important, but those are roles. Those are not my identity. And so I just wanted to make a quick video talking that through, because I want to make sure that I do my due diligence to help women remember that roles and identity, while they are linked, they're not one and the same. And if through the Lord's sovereignty or through tragic events you find that roles change, that shouldn't shift and shake the foundation of your identity. Tell me what you guys think about that notion in the comment section below. The notion of roles versus identity. And is there a way that we can, without thinking, without meaning to, can make an idol out of roles and make it so that if we don't get the role of wife, or we don't get the role of mother, or we don't get the role of homemaker, it just devastates our lives? Like, what do you guys think about that notion? But as always, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time.